tree in the world, and James, you ruined my yolk. I'm going to say this the rare species James Henry sorts after this plant, because as James quite correctly said, is that if you take seed, let me pick up a seed on the ground. If you take one of these seeds from the jacket plum, Papaya capensis, and well, you press it, you get a lovely oil. And of course, like James said, it stimulates hair growth. It's very good. I'm surprised this is not out on the market. And of course, another good thing is if you're walking about in the bush and you are carrying a rifle, it can get dirty quite quickly. Sometimes you carry a little cloth quite quickly. Sometimes you carry a little cloth, give it a wipe down, but you need to pop a bit of oil on it, of course, to stop everything from rusting, especially with all the sweat and stuff that we have. You can use the same oil that you pressed to rub into your head if your hair is thinning, to oil a rifle. Isn't that amazing? Now, to oil a rifle. Isn't that amazing? Now, you actually don't understand how excited I am right now. I've been waiting years and years to find a jacket plum, and Herbert has found me one. This has been one of the best days ever. But here we go, have a look. On the left, that one, you have, it's not a ripe one, and then of course on the ripe, you can popping out of its jacket is the beautiful red ripe fruit. Things you can do, but before I get into that, I'm going to try the unripe one, which Herbert says that they use to make white wine. Are you ready? Take note, because I have a feeling it's probably going to be sour if it's not ripe, and I don't do well with singing. Oh no! Oh no! Terrible! It gave me the heebie-jeebies. My goodness, that was not nice. That is so sour. It's not bitter, it's just sour. It's like taking the most sour sweet that is on the market, timesing it by 10, and it's still on my lips. Oh, that was horrible. Not going to be eating any more of those, but Herbert says that this one, see, Brian's also got one, you can make a red wine. Now, I've never eaten one of these before, but it looks like cherry. Look at that. Brian didn't pull a face when he ate his. Don't you think it looks like a maraschino cherry? One of those ones you pop into, I suppose you can decorate pork with it. People do that, or in your drinks to make a cocktail of some sort. Well, if you just like those types of cherries, you can eat them too. Let's go. Big smile. Why is mine so sour?
Mine was delicious.
It's sweet.
Not really, but it wasn't as bad as the unripe.
No. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, now that's the first time I've ever eaten the fruit from a jack plum before. Time I've ever eaten the fruit from a thorn tree, not a knob thorn. Now, I thought that was actually going to be quite sweet. Looking at it, and I was telling you that it looked like a maraschino cherry, I'd actually talked myself into it tasting like sugar. And of course, when my taste buds got it, my mind was thinking of sweet. I'm now salivating a whole lot. It's good. It obviously increases his salivary glands as well, gets him to work overtime. That was it was quite delicious. It wasn't too bad, but sour, not like the white one, but they're not too bad at the end, of course. Now, something else that we've discovered is not only do the birds, do the monkeys, do the James Henrys and the Tayla McCurdies like this fruit, but look at these crazy little insects that are now all over all the different seeds on the ground and crawling all around this tree. These look like a kind of a weevil of some sort. They do at first glance look like an assassin bug, but I don't think assassin bugs feed on fruit. But these weevils are bright red in color. They sort of match the coloration of the ripe jacket plum fruit, and they're feasting upon all the bits that have fallen to the ground. So when they do get ripe, they do fall off. But of course, like I said, the birds and the monkeys would be absolutely super excited to feast upon this absolutely, well, delicious fruit. And I'm so excited because it's the first time. And we used to get this tree in the Eastern Cape, and I used to search and search. I searched for 3 years to try and find a jacket plum that had fruit on, and I was unsuccessful. So it's taken me 5 years of working in the bush to find the fruit of one of my favorite trees. I've been looking forward to this day for such a long time. Wow. Well, that's fantastic. Kirsty, I can't remember who you said I need to link to. I've forgotten because I'm so excited about this tree. I'm very sorry. Byron, okay, rightio. This is the most exciting thing that's happened to me all day, as well as learning about how to chase the evil spirits away. Let's go back across to Byron. I'm not sure if he's still on Chitwa.
So I've just left to Chitwa. I'm back on Djuma now, and have a look at these little daycare. Look at that, right on top of a termite mound. Isn't that interesting? I just caught a glimpse of it as we were driving, and always scanning the tops of termite mounds, looking for any potential leopard that might be lying on there. Just a little daycare was standing on there. So we left the big dam on Chitwa. Lovely spending time there, but we thought we'd carry on and see what else we can find. Hopefully it starts cooling down a bit, and maybe if we're lucky, the lion prides and that start getting a bit active and moving around. Now it sounds like they did find the Unkuhuma pride, but they were north of our boundary, unfortunately. But as we know, they do move around a lot, and we might be lucky and we might still catch a glimpse of them later this afternoon. Joshua, it's so funny you say that, and you say that we should look for some honey badgers. Joshua, we were on this road this morning, and we actually saw honey badger tracks from last night, and I would love to see honey badgers. I have not seen honey badgers for many years. For some reason, they just keep hiding away from me. I always just miss them. But I'm hoping that maybe, who knows, maybe in the next few weeks here, we'll get to see some honey badgers. They are around. We do see their tracks, but I think at the moment, with it being so warm, they tend to come out a little bit later in the afternoon, or early evening rather, when it's dark. They'll move around looking for food. Now, they generally are classified as being crepuscular. Now, crepuscular means that they are active at dawn and dusk. But generally, from what I've seen, honey badgers are also quite nocturnal. They do move around a lot at night. But they are classified as being crepuscular. So for those viewers who are new or haven't heard that word before, it's a new word for you to describe animals that are active at dawn and at dusk, and that is crepuscular. Not too much bird activity either at the moment. It seems like everything's quietened down. It's funny how that can happen in the bush. Oh, there was a European roller that just flew off. Might still get it. It's actually in a bit of shade. Can you see him there? Hold on there. You got him? Oh, there's a grey hornbill. There's a grey hornbill, and the just top right, actually, Dave. If you go back in, straight in the middle of the screen, center of the screen. There you go. See the... There we go. European roller. Just hiding in there. Beautiful bird. We've been seeing a lot of them today, actually. And we were driving past some power lines earlier, and there must have been about 6 or 7 of them, all dotted along the power line. And very interesting to see. So a lot of European rollers that have migrated back south for the summer. But it is funny, and I noticed this a few weeks ago too. It seems like we're seeing less lilac-breasted rollers. And I don't know if have you noticed a difference, Dave? But I've been seeing a lot of European and far less lilac-breasted rollers. Now, I don't know if the European rollers actually chase off the lilac-breasted rollers a little bit, or if they cause them to become a little bit less active. But for some reason, all I'm seeing at the moment is European rollers. See, there goes another one. Oh, there's beautiful light on this one. Here we go. Sitting right in the open. Look at that. Beautiful iridescence on part of the wing there, that very deep blue, and then the turquoise or light blue on the edge with the brown. I'm hoping it actually flies again because it's got some beautiful colors under the wings. You want a bird to fly, then they don't fly, and they'll sit for ages. But look at that, really beautiful bird. I still think I prefer the lilac-breasted roller in terms of looks, but they're both very beautiful birds. So, Safari Babe, you want to know what smells I can smell in the bush right now? Well, at the moment, there's a strong smell of green grass. There's not too much that I can smell that I can explain. Every now and then you get to the smell of wild sage, and a bit of, occasionally, if you do drive off the road a little bit, wild aniseed. And James was describing it this morning. That'd be a wonderful wild aniseed smell, almost like licorice. Or I think James described it as sambuca. No, sambuca is not a particularly pleasant drink. It does taste like licorice. Now I'm just trying to think. I think this was the spot where I saw those honey badger tracks this morning. And it was indeed, they are over there. I don't know if I'd be able to show them to you. They're not very clear. But this is where I saw the honey badger tracks. So they are, and they have been seen in this area before. So maybe we're lucky and we do find some honey badgers at some point. There's another vehicle of guests out on safari. Now we're going to continue our search. There goes another European roller. So we're going to see what else we can find. While I do that, let's head back over to James Hendry, who I think has been missing all of you, and let's see what he's got.
I was missing you terribly, everybody. I have left Arathusa on account of the fact that I couldn't find anything there, and we're now heading towards Sydney's dam on the assumption that something must want to have a drink after a hot afternoon like this, and we'll see what we can find there. Otherwise, naught else is going on. I must just change my my channel back on to Djuma. We are. Now Neil, well, very neat of you to have asked this question, because my new friend Craig just asked exactly the same thing. You say, what percentage of the land or of the Kruger are we driving? I'm now going to do something that some of you will have been subjected to before, but something that many of you won't have been subjected to before, and that is my art. I think the best place for me to draw my art will be over here. Can you see this line here, Craig? And here? And here? I'm trying to find the bottom of your picture there. Oh, excellent. There?
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, there?
No, the car's happening.
Okay, and there? Right, you see that line? Most of it? Yeah. Okay, right. Everybody, I will quickly draw you 3 maps. The first one is of Africa. Right, Africa looks something like this. Down to Cape Town, South Africa there, Horn of Africa over there, something like that. And that looks just about sort of exactly like Africa. South Africa is this part here. Our country looks a bit like that. Ooh, fascinating longhorn beetle. Good grief, look at this thing. This is amazing. Isn't that beautiful? That is the most gorgeous longhorn beetle. A little sort of creamed honey colour. Hello, what's your name? Ah, Lancelot. Lancelot the longhorn beetle. Marvellous. Okay, I'm going to put him here and hope that he stays there. No, he's not going to. I'm going to put him back on the ground. Okay, so that's where we are. I'll put Lancelot back in at South Africa. Get into South... He doesn't want to. He wants to stay on me. Okay, that's fine. So that's South Africa. And then the Kruger National Park is in this part of South Africa here. You got that, Craig? Right, that's this little section here. Right, you got that? Sort of. Cape Town down here. Craig's hometown, Durban, somewhere around here. Okay, so that's Africa. Now we're going to zoom in. The Kruger Park looks something like this, like a boot. Okay. There is the Limpopo River stretching into Mozambique, and this, the part of the park that stretches into Zimbabwe, and there's the South African border. So this is the Kruger Park here, and the Sabi Sand is over here, the Manyeleti over there, and then the Timbavati over there. Something a little bit like that. And you see all this so far. You're doing all right there. Now we're in the Sabi Sands here, in the northern section of the Sabi Sands. Now there are no fences between us and the rest of the park, and between the park and the Mozambican side there. So this area from south all the way into Zimbabwe in the north is probably about 600 kilometers or so, and it's probably about 250 kilometers wide or so. All in all, it's 3.5 million hectares, 8.5 million acres. Now I'm just going to quickly do another one for you. Zoom closer into the Sabi Sand, and the Sabi Sand looks something like this, plus minus. Okay, and all we're concerned about is with the northern section of the Sabi Sand here, and there are a few reserves there, and Djuma basically is that section over there. There's another reserve between us and the Kruger, that's Torchwood, and then there's Cheetah Plains down there, and Arathusa over here. Thank you. There is Lancelot again, and Lancelot very kindly did a little dump on my hand. Isn't that nice of him? Thank you, Lancelot. Isn't he cool? Let me plug myself back in. Ooh, a wasp just flew past. Lancelot is opening his wings and making another dump. Wonderful. Lancelot, it is not nice to do that to your very new best friend. Right, let's just hit a what? A fox. Taylor's got something that sounded like a fox. If it is a fox, it'll be a first for this area.
We found the tiniest little frog you ever did see out here at Treehouse Dam. There's actually a lot going on here. Now, I had a very quick look at it, but I don't want to go and scare it away. I obviously wanted to show you. Oh, and it's munching on all sorts of things. It looks to be like maybe one of the sand frogs. It's very small, but like I said, I'm not going to go over to it because I don't want to scare it. And it seems to be munching on all the little insects and things. Oh, wow, it did a big leap. It's come out of the water now to come and say hello. But look at it. Isn't that beautiful? Yes, it looks very much like a sand frog from here. Maybe a tremolo. I'll have to have a look. So please take some screenshots for me. I'd absolutely appreciate it, as you all know. So hashtag Safari Live with your screenshots, or send them through to questions@WildEarthTV. But look at how fast it's breathing. That is amazing. That is such a beautiful little critter. It's tiny. It's probably the size of half of my thumb. So take half of your thumb, maybe even a bit smaller than that. It's really, really minuscule. And I think it's having an absolute ball out here with this hot weather, because like I said earlier, and I mentioned to you that there were a couple of grasshoppers that unfortunately had floated a bit too far out in the middle of the pan, is that this little frog would be very excited, of course, to munch on something like that. But because it's so small, it has to sort of, well, settle for other little things like little flies and a couple of other things. Now, Brian, look at all the terrapin heads that are popping out of the water. Oh, why, thank you, little frog. There's something else that we're going to show you. I'm trying to count all the little terrapin heads that I can see at the moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 6, at least 16 terrapin swimming around in the dam. Also got their heads popping out, just having a little breath, keeping a close eye on us, and I love the way that they move around with their tiny little heads. I suppose they're sort of like the little Loch Ness monsters of the pan. But isn't that cool to see them? And then now, look at that. A dragonfly. We've been seeing a lot of ant lions. That is fantastic. And it's just sitting above the water. Very easy to tell that it's a dragonfly, the way that it's positioned itself with its wings open as it is rested. And also it's got those very two big eyes on the side of its head, but obviously a little bit more robust than the antlion. The antlion seems to be slightly more slender, and they also have the big clubbed antennae on top of their heads, whereas, oh, here comes a basking dragonfly. It's this red one. Come on, land for us. Nope. Maybe it will. I'm just trying to see if it's going to land, but it isn't going to land. Okay, that's fine. We'll just be mean then. And there's also a spider. I'm going to go around you, Brian. I want to see if I can get the spider again. And I can't believe our little frog is still just sitting there. There was a water spider of some sort, but it's gone now. And it skimmed across the water. It was so quick. It just quickly shot across the water. And then now it's disappeared again. But that would have been nice to show you. And sometimes those water spiders can get so big that a teeny tiny little frog like we were just looking at could actually fall victim to something like that. Herbert, where are you going? Don't you have something to show us? Herbert's got something to show us. Thank you, of course, for all sending in your screenshots for the frog. I do definitely appreciate it. Just have a quick look, but I suspect that it's one of the sand frogs. They're quite minute, and that was really teeny tiny. I don't think it was a micro frog. I think it was a little bit too big for one of those. You just have to run up this hill. But Herbert has now found the tree that keeps away, with conjunction with the elephant dung, of course. It keeps away the evil spirits.
And here is the tree, the Transvaal Gardenia.
Maybe.
And the genetic to us. If you feel uncomfortable or you want to clean up your system, you peel off the bark, you stick it in the water, and the juice or drink the decoction, and in that case, drink the decoction, and in that case it will cause you to vomit. And if you were to name this tree, if you were to give the safari name to this tree, what name would you give it to?
I don't know. What would you give it?
The shape, it does look like one of the signs of the famous car.
Ah, there we go. Let's play a game. Don't tell them.
And send your answer to questions at WildEarthTV.
Or hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. So there we go. You got your question. You saw, I hope you did manage to see, of course, the shape that the spines have now. You've got about that. Well done. You really are fantastic when it comes to remembering things. So I'm just going to bend down so it dropped. I've lost what I wanted to show you. Send your answers through. Sorry, brain is down now. Hashtag Safari Live or questions at WildEarthTV. What? Questions at WildEarthTV. What car brand do you think that shape of the spines reminds you of? And that's Herbie. So he's going to take the credit. Now, I believe that there were a couple of requests, of course, for my poem that I was talking about earlier when I was showing you the sedge. It was actually taught to me by the name. I said, no, because I'm 19 years old and I don't know anything about the bush, so please teach me. And I taught a lot, which was really cool. I had the most amazing mentors growing up in the industry. So he said, here's a rhyme, and you will never ever forget how to tell the difference between a grass, between a rush, and between a sedge. Are you ready? Pens and papers? Herbert, are you ready?
Yes, and I think in this question we need two different answers. The brand.
Yeah.
And the other one, what name will you give to the tree? The
Okay.
safari name.
The safari name. So you got to
find. You have to find the name of the brand, and you name the tree using the very same name that you got on the brand.
There we go. So basically your first answer is also your same answer, but the poem is, I lie. Sedges have edges, rush have nodes all the way down. Grasses have nodes all the way down. It's wonderful, hey? So if I buy one in the very far future, maybe that's before after again, hang on, we're a tree. Curse, is this a little bit better? Rightio, it seems as though the gremlins are attacking. We've obviously been hanging around their favorite watering hole for too long. I'll tell you the rhyme a little bit later. Let's go back across to Byron, and you got to promise me that you're going to ask him to show you the sunset tonight.
I will indeed try and show you all the sunset this evening. I wonder, it's a clear skies. I was hoping that that the cloud cover we had earlier would stick around, because that always makes for spectacular sunsets. But it looks very clear at the moment, which is nice. Look, we're not complaining. But beautiful blue skies. And we still haven't had too much luck. We've been searching high and low. I did hear a Franklin alarm calling. We stopped and we had a good look around, but couldn't see anything that it was alarm calling at. It could very possibly have been a snake or something that it had seen. There were some other birds around, but we couldn't see any sign of a predator in that area. Sometimes very difficult when the bush is so thick to see what these animals are alarm calling at. You've got to really have a good look. Hoping to find some elephant this afternoon, but it doesn't seem like they're out and about so far. It's amazing. You'd think these huge grey animals, you'd be able to see them all the time, but they do manage to disappear, which is very, very... I think all that happens is because there's so much vegetation and water around at the moment, they just move all over and they move into the dense, thicker bush. They don't need to necessarily go to the big water holes all the time, because there are little pools around it. Alright, I'm going to continue through this area. It is a little bit thicker at the moment, so I want to try and get into a more open area. Let's head back to James and get an update from him.
There was nothing at Sydney's Dam wanting a drink, one or two impala and a fish eagle, I suppose, but nothing that we could see. So we're going towards Buffelshoek Dam now to see if we can't find something over there. And thankfully the light is starting to soften quite nicely, and that's excellent news, because it was getting rather hot and bothered in the face. You might see that my rosy cheeks have become slightly rosier. Such is the life of a wild earth guide. These are the sacrifices we make I just wish I could find you an elephant of some sort. Ah, very nice. Maggie, you're in Australia, and you say, could you ask the presenters, or could the presenters tell you what for them the sound of Africa is? For you, and I was waiting for you to say the call of the African fish eagle, and I'm so glad you didn't say that, because so many people say that. You said it's the sound of hippos calling in a river at night. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful call. They do sound only like Africa. For me, what is the sound of Africa? I mean, I've grown up here. You also say the Haridars. I'm assuming you probably also have spent an extended period here. So hippos and Haridars for you, both quintessentially African sounds. Yeah, a lion roaring at night has got to be a proper African sound. But for me, I think, I don't know why this is the case, but at night time, for me, the fiery neck nightjar is the call of the African wild. That good Lord deliver us call that it makes. And then in the day, I guess it would have to be the call of the white-browed scrub robin. Just that kind of that in this area, the white-browed scrub robin. And then I suppose that would take me home completely would be the sound of the yellow-fronted tinker barbet going ding 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 in the heat of a sort of Eastern Cape summer day. So those would be my sounds. Wonderful stuff. Thank you, Maggie. Yeah. And isn't it amazing how powerful sound is as a sort of trigger of memory and trigger of great emotion, almost as much as smell is. Now I'm going to ask you back at you, Maggie, what for you is the smell of Africa? That's quite a nice question for you. What is the smell of Africa for you? Hashtags for our live questions at WildEarthTV, and it doesn't only have to be Maggie that answers that question, it can be anybody. There's a very cross bird in here. What are you birds cross with? Okay, let's just watch here. Ah, it's a great big bird. Look, they're all chasing. See where all those birds have gone? There's a huge bird in that tree. They're all bombing it now. It's a big eagle. There. It's not an eagle. It's a Djuma, and it's caught something. It's got a little fledgling bird. Let's go back again a little bit. It had a little nestling bird that it's obviously stolen out of one of those starlings' nests. You see it there, Craig? I don't know where it's gone. So that was a Djuma, everybody, that had stuck its nasty double-jointed intertarsus into the hole, I suspect, where those Burchell starlings were nesting, and picked out a hapless little nestling. There it is. I can see it. It's in the... You got him. That's him. He's in there. That's it. You got him. Ah, you dastardly, dastardly creature. It is the African harrier hawk, everybody, or the Djuma. See how he's skulking there, looking ashamed of himself. And around him you can hear the call of the hornbills. You can hear some... I've lost my mind here. Long-tailed shrikes. They're the ones going bleep, 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 bleep. And then you can see the starling still shouting at him, quack, 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 quack. I mean, that's almost impossible to see, isn't it? Ugh. That makes me depressed because it tells me how many eagles and things we must be going past. Mike, you are wondering about the biggest eagle that we get here. The biggest eagle we get here is the Marshall eagle, and the Marshall eagle probably stands about that high off the dashboard. So about 2.5 feet tall. No, I'm talking rubbish. They're at least 3 feet tall, actually. A Marshall Eagle is about 3 feet tall, and a wingspan of well over 6 feet. So that's the biggest eagle that we get in this area. I will show you a picture of the Marshall Eagle, if you'd like. That was a really nice spot, that. Driving and reading, so naughty. Ah. Feline ferocity, you reckon that the smell of Africa is elephant poop? Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm sorry, I've forgotten the other word. Jackie J, you said a braai, which is a barbecue. Yeah, I know what you mean. And Carol, you say jasmine. Look, for me, the smell of Africa is definitely not defined by elephant dung, thankfully. I'm trying to think what it is, though. I suppose for me, the smell of Africa is very much an evening smell in the winter, normally, when it's an almost indescribable smell of very subtle dust and dry grass. And for me, that's the kind of smell that we get at night time. There's the Marshall Eagle. It sits at about it's almost 3 feet tall. Sorry, the shadow is terrible. There we are. And he's rather a cross-looking bird, isn't he? And there's the fish eagle that I was speaking of earlier. And for many people, the call of the fish eagle, and the distance is the sound of Africa. Wonderful. Right, we're nearly at Beefleshoek Dam, so let's pop around the corner here and see what happens to be there. I'm going to go with 2 Egyptian geese, 1 blacksmith lapwing, and 1 daisies, and 1 3-banded plover. That's going to be my species list for Beefleshoek Dam. Hopefully I'll be wrong and there'll be a bit more there. Right, we're not too far from there, but in case that it is a disappointment, let's head across to Tayla and find out what her update is. I imagine she must be on the long road home by this stage.
We are indeed on a long way home as the sun decides as well. It's going to disappear behind the horizon. And I'm acting like it's a surprise, but it does it to us every single night, as it does in the rest of the world. Now I believe that there has been some answers to Herbert's quiz. And well done, of course, to Nikki, Benjamin and Barbara, who all guessed right and said Mercedes. Well done. It is indeed the Mercedes tree. I think it's very similar looking, of course, to that car brand. And Herbert now says that you are all tied, the 3 of you are now tied with Judy H from 2 mornings ago, who got the Marula beer question right. So well done to the 4 of you. You're all on 100 points each. You'll have to keep going and keep that score tallied as well, hopefully over the next couple of weeks we'll just keep going with Herbie's quizzes, and I think it could be quite fun, and eventually we'll get a winner. Obviously there's no prize, just, well, the joy of getting all the points, I suppose. Isn't that just absolutely wonderful? Oh yes, you need my poem now. Thank you for reminding me, Kirsty. Right, so the poem, because I know the gremlins were very rude earlier and they stole my thunder, but I shall say it again. So, the poem is... What is the poem, Taylor? What is the poem? It's gone into a background, I remember now. This is terrible, it's so embarrassing. Why do I do this? How is it possible, Brian, that I've just said it and I've learned it for the last few years and now it's just magicked away, like James always says, out of my brain. There we go. Kirsty had to remind me, and Ryan. Sedges have edges, rushes are round, grasses have nodes, all the way down. That is the poem. It's as simple as that, and I hope you all took note. And I was saying earlier that if by in the very far future, if I ever have children, I will probably read that to them, and they will learn all nighttime bush poems. When you just prep them to be a guide one day, it'll be easy and they'll know a lot from a very young age. I think that's a good idea. Can you imagine how traumatized they'd be? They'd go to school and all their other parents would have said the most divine things like round and round the garden like a teddy bear, or singing all the rest of the rhymes, of course. And then my children will of course be reciting bush terminology, Latin names, the most ridiculous things in the whole world, of course. But like everybody rightfully said, oh yes, that's the other thing I forgot to tell you, and I keep thinking every time you come back to me I need to of course remember to remind you, and I promise I'm not telling a fib at all. I've had a migraine for most of the day. It's been really horrible. I've tried, like I said, I took an entire concoction to try and cure this migraine, and absolutely nothing's worked. And for the last, just before maybe about 10 minutes before we got to the frog, and we had a look at that little sand frog of some sort, it's gone. I mean, it was a horrible pain. It's not like someone stabbing a knife through my head and then getting to the back of my eye, and it's completely gone. So I genuinely think that every time I get a headache, and unfortunately we do get a lot of headaches out here because we're in the sun for most of the day, so most of it's just us being silly and not drinking enough water, not staying hydrated, and things like that. And I think from now on, I'm of course just going to keep doing that. And Brian actually said afterwards that his sniffles that he's had an unfortunate bouts of influenza, but that's luckily passed. And of course you know what happens after you have a cold or you have flu, you get a little bit sniffly. And he said nasal passages were it's like you've had like a really strong eucalyptus mint or something, just completely opened it. So something as simple as elephant dung can get rid of a headache, help open your nasal passages, just in case you're feeling a little bit fluish and sniffly. It will sort that out, as well as keep you safe from evil spirits if you've got any plaguing your house. Now the problem is though, if you don't live in South Africa, I don't know where you're going to find I heard a car, sorry, and I was just making sure it wasn't an elephant again rumbling. And you're going to be very careful out here. And of course, well, now I've forgotten what I was going to say, but you all get the point, and I do this a lot. I apologize. I have goldfish memory every now and then. The thoughts come in and then they vanish as quickly as they arrive. Now we're going to start making our way around the corner because we actually drove here this time. We're going to head around there and hopefully we can find something else to show you just before the sun disappears. But before the sun disappears, let's go back across to Byron.
So we're just sitting at another dam. As I said earlier, we're trying to head to as many dams as possible to see if there's any activity from the animals, with it being so warm. A lot of birds around at the moment, but it is such a peaceful scene. It really is beautiful. Now let's have a look down at the bottom here. We've got some hardy daws that are feeding furiously in the mud, probably picking out worms or insects that they can find. Look at that iridescent sheen on the wing. You don't always see that with the hardy daws. It's nice when you do get a glimpse of them in the sun. So a few of them around feeding at the moment. And then just off to the, oh no, it's just flown, but in the center of the dam now, plover around a water hole. And then there was another interesting one that I saw. Let's see if they... There was a wood sandpiper that was also wandering around, but there's just a beautiful cacophony of bird calls at the moment. There are a lot of doves calling, Cape turtle doves, they're red-billed buffalo weavers. There's a woodland kingfisher calling now. I can hear brown-headed parrots behind us. I can hear Franklin. It's incredible. Just so many birds calling at the moment. Now this is probably an ideal spot and ideal time that I would tell the guests to get out the vehicle, stretch their legs a little bit, and might have a beverage, just cool down, quench our thirsts, and maybe have a few snacks and just enjoy the scenery. You know, it's not always about just seeing wildlife all the time, but being out here, you are still appreciating nature and enjoying it. And this is just a really, really beautiful landscape here at the moment, and very, very peaceful, very relaxing. And it's dropping. We're getting a very, very cool temperature at the moment, which is nice. We're sitting in the shade. The sun's dropping behind the trees, so definitely going to... I think what we're going to do now is we're going to move towards an area where hopefully we'll get a nice sunset. So why don't we do that so long? Nice just to stop and take some time to appreciate these water holes and see what we can find around here. A lot of bird life. Oh, there goes a guinea fowl across the road in front of us. Oh, one guinea fowl. I wonder where the rest are. It's unusual to see one by itself. There he goes, just down at the bottom there. Oh, look at that bright blue neck and head of the helmeted guinea fowl. Like I say, interesting to see it by itself. I would have thought that we'd see a few more of them around, but don't for the moment. It's interesting. Usually these clearings are also teeming with wildlife. There's a lot of impala and wildebeest as we've been seeing, but at the moment it's not too much around. And I think the reason for that is because it's been a much warmer afternoon than the last few days. They're probably just all in the thickets feeding, so enjoying the shade. There's a lot of food around at the moment for these animals, so they can move wherever they like. But as soon as it starts to get dark, they'll most likely move back towards the clearings and spend the night on the open clearings. It's a little bit easier for safety. Keep an eye out. Sorry, I just thought I heard some birds alarm calling. Let me just have a look quickly. No, it sounded like a rattling testicular. No, but not a serious alarm call. I didn't. No. Anyway, I'm going to continue up towards quarantine and then go find a spot to watch the sun go down. While I do that, let's head back to James, see what he's up to.
We're in the far east, looking far west as the sun goes down, and I'm sure you can hear the buzz of the cicadas. Isn't that lovely? Such a lovely sound. And then we also had a bird over there that we don't see often. I think I may have seen it once. I'm going to have to play it for you. It's a nediki, and I don't know if any of you've seen a nediki before. It's there. Did you hear that at all? I wonder. I'll just quickly try and find it for you. It's deeply unimpressive as a bird. It's a testicular. And this is what it sounds like. But it's seldom that loud. Anyway, I heard one here along with the cicadas, and I saw the sun going down, and I thought, well, what a pretty place to stop. And as Byron was saying, wouldn't it be nice to, well, get out and have a gin and tonic from a crystal glass? Oh, cut glass. Beautiful. I have a friend, and I'm sure she won't mind my telling the story. I have a friend whose father was born sort of 150 years too late, and he well, he likes to consider himself something of a what shall we say, an English gentleman. He isn't English, he's Irish, so an Irish gentleman if you like. But he went on a hunting trip once up into the Central African Republic. But he did it in a way that that Livingstone and Stanley might have done. So he had a whole lot of bearers walking behind him. He had all of his equipment carried in wooden crates, so he didn't go off to the latest outdoor warehouse and get, fancy backpacks and tents and that sort of thing. He had a canvas tent, a white canvas tent that he lived in. Every day at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, he would stop the entire train of people that he had carrying his baggage. He'd set up a table, he'd take out a crystal glass and a crystal decanter with his gin in it, and I don't know where he found tonic, but he had some tonic there, and he'd sit in a very civilized fashion with a leather hat, and clothes that looked like they come out of the Out of Africa movie. And this is how he went for sort of 5 or 6 weeks. I think he went wandering through the Central African Republic like that. And so when I talk about crystal decanters and crystal glasses out here, now that's always what I think of. This funny fellow traipsing through the middle of Africa in the year, I think it must have been the late 90s, with his bearers and his crystal decanter and crystal glasses. Amazing. Thank goodness. Somebody's found something large to look at. Byron it is, and well, I'll let you tell him about it now.
Yes, James, I have indeed. Thankfully, I was starting to worry, but look at this amazing view. Firstly, wonderful, wonderful view. You can see the moon, and then a lovely young elephant bull. Just very happily feeding on the wonderful grass around at the moment. And he's been standing here for quite some time, not too phased, trying to stay cool. And I'm so happy we got to see him, because as most of you know, those of you who have asked me before, elephants are one of my favorite animals, and I love seeing them and spending time with them. Isn't this great? You actually don't have to say much, you can just enjoy it. Really, really beautiful. I can hear a black cuckoo calling in the distance. Valeria, I'm so glad you got to see the elephant just before you had to leave. So, very, very happy you're enjoying this. And it is great to see an elephant out in the open like this. I'm hoping if we sit here for a while, maybe he comes closer to us. He seems very relaxed though, for the moment, and just happily feeding. Yeah, everyone says, this looks like the angry elephant that Tayla had. Was it this morning or was it yesterday? Yesterday. And it looks like it, yeah, perhaps. He seemed very relaxed now. I think elephant can tell who's more dominant. No, I'm joking. I'm just kidding. Maybe he's just. I think what actually happened is I think the elephant picked up on the scent of the lions, perhaps, and I think it was very unhappy about that. I think that's why it was running around and potentially trying to chase whatever it was that it could smell, but I think so. I'm going to sit here a little while longer. Taylor's itching to show you the animals she's managed to find on foot.
I don't know if I should say bless you to that wildebeest or how rude, because either way he just sort of snorted at us, and I suppose he's letting everybody else know that, well, Brian, myself and Herbie are here on the big open plains. Now I was hoping we were going to see those lovely young wildebeest calves, but they weren't having any of it. I don't think they've seen enough people just yet. They weren't scared of James this morning, but perhaps they're frightened of me, because it's exactly the same crew. The only thing that's changed is me. Hey, Brian? That's a bit concerning. Anyways, well, the big male wildebeest that keeps an eye out and he marks his territory around here, he actually just marked his territory on a silver cluster leaf by rubbing his big glands below his eyes, called preorbital glands, and it's a very sticky secretion. He just wiped that on the tree, which was quite interesting to watch. But off he goes, because his ladies have moved away from me. And so he's just following up to make sure that, of course, everything is going according to plan. Now, I believe that you've got Angry Ellie. You just had Angry Ellie with, of course, Byron, which was quite exciting. Though, like I said, he wasn't very angry this morning. He was quite happy that he was feasting upon marulas and eating all sorts of other things. And I haven't heard any trumpeting like we heard yesterday afternoon. But maybe if those wildebeest keep going towards him, he'll get all riled up and, of course, try and chase them around again. But sadly, that sun has almost set beyond the horizon, so it is time for the walking team to say goodbye to all of you. But we hope you've had fun out here. There's been a lot of new experiences, I think, for all of us today, which is fantastic, and it has just been an absolute laugh and a wonderful day. So thank you so much for taking the time to join in to us, and hopefully we made you shed some happy tears, of course. But we will see you tomorrow morning. We'll be in the vehicle, so tune in for the sunrise safari. But the show's not over yet. We're going to go back across to James now.
Oh, God. Oh, we've just had the most amazing sighting of these two great spotted cuckoos, and I think they're in the process of mating. Let's just keep watching. I think that's the female there, and I think she's being bribed by the male who's gone off to the right-hand side into that sort of deadish tree there, that fallen dead tree there, Craig, and he's on the far right-hand side of that. So if you go a little bit right and zoom in there, you've got him. He's middle of page, middle of frame there. That's it. I think probably going to find another caterpillar to feed his lady love. This is a fantastic sighting. There he is, knocking about on the ground. And the great spotted cuckoo is not a common cuckoo, but we do see them around here. Now, I would have thought that they had finished breeding by now, but I got to tell you, from what we saw just before you came live, well, it was slightly X-rated, I have to say. I'm just going to check my bird app to see who they parasitize. I'm pretty sure that they parasitize the starlings as well. There's Mrs. waiting, or Miss. Soon to be Mrs. perhaps. She seems to be very comfortable waiting there in the sun. Isn't that cool? Now, many of you will have seen us shout, "Oh, great spotted cuckoo," and then we'd maybe get a brief glimpse of them in the trees. But this one is being very, very confiding, and so it's unlikely you'll miss them again. Oh, don't go away. Come closer, it's come closer. It's on this fallen tree, there, in the middle of that lot there, Craig. I'll just zoom slowly in there. There, yeah, you can see it there. It's just moving at the back. It says pied starling and pied crows. So there's the one. Now we think that's the female, and apparently the other one in the top right-hand corner. Ah, well spotted. Ooh, Craig, are they doing what I think they're doing? I think they are, Craig. Oh, look at that. In flagrante delicto. Ha ha. Caught in the act. And he's given her another gift. Isn't this astounding? Hey? So he's definitely giving her presents, she's allowing him to mate with her, and she's having a very nice dinner. It's always, this is a lesson for men, of course. Must buy a lady dinner. There we go. This is the most romantic little scene I've ever seen out in the bush, you know. So often it's, well, rather more violent than we're witnessing now. We've watched lions and leopards mating with each other. There's nothing tender about that. But this is really very sweet indeed. He keeps hopping off and getting a caterpillar for her, and she waits patiently and then floats slowly closer to him, and they have a little bit of flirtation. And then they sort of make another cuckoo, really. And they will lay their eggs. She won't bother to raise her child. This is where the romance of a cuckoo ends, of course, in the nest of a starling, yeah. Birchall's or greater blue-eared glossy starling. There we go. Or did she find herself something to eat there? Let's just wait and see if it doesn't happen again. I think that's so special. I've never had a sighting like this of these birds before. And you see the other one. I'm just going to quickly scan around for the other one. I can't see it anywhere at this stage. In fact, I can't see either of them but on the screen. Justin, you say I need to sing to them to make it more special, to make it more romantic. Justin, what song do you think we should sing to them? If they remain where they are, I will definitely consider it. Can you still see them, Craig?
No.
They're both gone.
Yeah, I can't see them.
Oh, that's sad. Let's just go a little bit forward and see if we can't see them again. That was the most tender moment, wasn't it? There they are. Both on that little scraggly little tree there. Smallest, scraggliest tree. Come on, Justin. What do you want me to sing for them? You got them there. Oh, that's fantastic. Now, I think Male has gone off again to see if he can't find her something else. And she seems to be ogling him. Or she spotted a caterpillar that she's going to eat herself. She's calling gently. That was such a subtle little call. Normally they've got a very raspy, loud, cackling call. She's making such a sweet sound to him, whispering sweet nothings to him. Oh, there she goes. There she waits, maybe. Justin, you want me to sing Barry White to the cuckoos? It's gone off to the right. I don't think I can sing Barry White to the cuckoos, Justin, I'm sorry. Mainly because I actually can't think of a Barry White song. Wasn't that cool? I was trying to think of something really cheesy to sing them. Ah, that was very, very, very satisfying, I must say. James Robinson, you say I should sing them Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye. It's quite, I mean, there are some young people watching, so that's quite that's a good suggestion. I think maybe not. This is wonderful comment from Cat in Tampa, who says that they probably mate so gracefully and with a sort of carefreeness and obvious joy because they don't have to look after the kids afterwards. So for them, it's it's purely, they can make it as romantic as they like. They don't have to worry about kids at all. Cat, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think that's exactly why it is. And you know what? It's probably that drove the evolution, that was the evolutionary pressure that drove them to lay their eggs in other birds' nests. Wonderful suggestion. Thank you, Cat. I think that's exactly what it was. And I mean, one has only to see young parents these days. They can barely look at each other, think of my own brother and his wife and their 2 young children. They can barely look at each other with affection, let alone contemplate going on dates and that sort of thing because their children have exhausted them so much. So I think, Kat, you're probably exactly correct. That's exactly what's happened there. That cuckoos have evolved to lay their eggs in other birds' nests so that the romance of their initial courtship can be maintained throughout their lives. I think that's wonderful. Right, we're going to go along here. There is a starling's nest in a tree up here that maybe Mrs. Cuckoo will come and lay her eggs in. But like I say, it's quite late. It's quite late in the year for them to be engaging in that sort of thing. I would imagine that most birds have almost finished. No, some will carry on, in fact. Some will carry on into March. Certainly the woodland kingfishers are definitely still at finding nests and mates and that sort of thing. The Egyptian geese seem to have been singularly unsuccessful, except for the ones at Chitwa Dam. They've done pretty well. Those hardy-dars, unfortunately, I think they lost their babies. The ones that were at Twin Dams, if you didn't see them. We had a lovely time with them, with that nest and the 4 little youngsters that were in there. But the nest has disappeared, and so have the birds, and I think it happened before the 40-day period was up. Some snake probably got in there, or a genet. It wasn't a very well hidden nest. I'll give you one last look at the setting sun. I'm not sure that we're going to make it back to those male lions before the end of the drive, everyone. I will just go and get an update on what they're doing, but they looked so very fast asleep that I became unconvinced it was necessary to go back to them. There's a tree just in front of us where there is a starling's nest and a purple roller's nest. So we'll stop here and have a look. Now, if you look up there, Craig, you can see on the sort of biggest branch, the tallest one going up to the top, there's a slit as opposed to a hole. There are 2 holes and then a slit. So keep going, middle of the picture, up a bit. That's it, in there, keep going exactly where you're going. Up a bit, up a bit. There, the slit there. Can you see the slit versus the 2 holes? That slit is where the European roller, at least the purple roller's nest is. Just, yeah, the top left-hand corner. Yeah, that's where they were. But I don't hear any little birds calling. Although, in a second. No, I can't see anything in there. Alright, Byron has managed to find himself a picture of our only satellite.
It is indeed our only satellite, our beautiful moon. And I did say I was going to look for a sunset for you and try and show you the sunset. However, I found a sighting that's just so beautiful of the moon, and it really, really is incredible. Look at that, how clear that is. Wonderful. Reminds me of one of my favorite songs, Creedence and I See a Bad Moon Rising. I see trouble on the way. I'd sing the rest, but I don't know how much longer I'd be allowed on Safari Life, or if I did. And then, of course, we still got this wonderful young elephant bull feeding in front of us right here. And that is also why I've stayed here, because I love elephant. And I thought it would be wonderful to spend time with him. He did actually chase some Inyala. He was not happy with Inyala. So I think this young bull is a bit temperamental at the moment. Going through his teenage phase, perhaps. Maybe he just needs a sandwich. He's possibly hangry. See, I'm surprised. He hasn't paid us too much attention at all. Curious if the wind changes and if he picks up on our scent. Here we go. Let's see what he does. I'm going to sit still though. He's not really showing signs of aggression, but I am going to watch him carefully. He's smelling us now. Keep my voice down a little bit. And there he goes across the road. Now, I think he'll just continue moving out onto the clearing. You see, he's not very fazed by us. But again, I think one of the reasons is we've been sitting here for quite some time. We've been fairly quiet, watching him feed. So he's known that we've been here. He's definitely seen us. I think that's why he's a bit more relaxed with us being around. I'm just going to reposition the vehicle quickly, see if we can get another view of him. What a fantastic way to end off the show. Well, almost, not quite yet, but lovely sighting. And we had, I know Tayla managed to show you some wildebeest, but we did have them earlier walk past us. Heading down, it looked like they were heading down to the water, I'm not sure, or just out into the clearings at the bottom. And Inyala, and then this lovely elephant. I wonder if he's managed to find some marula fruit around there yet. Just going to try to go past this bush quickly so we can get a better view of him. There he is. Lovely seeing an elephant walk across the clearings like this. It really is very peaceful at the moment. Still a few bird calls in the distance all around us. Oh my word. James has played out of his boots. We are going to cross over to him. He's got a big surprise for you.
There, everybody, is little Hosana. As far as I can tell, I can't tell where the others are. I just had a feeling that it would come bungling along the road exactly around where Tayla and Herbert were looking, and with Brian earlier today. And I just had a feeling that whatever it is that they'd killed and eaten, because he has definitely eaten, look at how fat he is, whatever he's eaten has been stashed somewhere, I suspect on the southern side of the road. And I'm sure that Mum is somewhere around here with little Shongile. They're probably eating the scraps that he's deigned to leave them. Oh, look at him. How cool is this? Alrighty, we'll just sneak a little bit further forward. If I can make Rusty start. Now he's looking behind him. and looking just south of the road as well. Hosana, where's your mummy? And I'm sure all of you are as excited as I am by this development. Ah, what a little fellow. And his mouth is still full, certainly dripping with whatever it was that he's eaten. And I'm pretty sure the other two will be very close by. I'm just looking under all the bushes to see if I can't spot the spots. He's so uncomfortable because he's so fat and so he can't not move. Where's your mum, boy? So while you're looking at him, I'm just scanning the landscape. Because we don't want to miss out on the other two. I don't see anything stashed in a tree anywhere. Unless there's something stashed just over there, a bit closer forward. I'm going to go a little bit further forward. Look how fat he is. Great big greedy guts, leopard. We'll come straight back to him. If I can't spot the others... You still got a shot there, Craig? I'm going to wait here. We don't have very much longer, of course. No, I cannot see. I can't see any of the others. It must be here. Now there's a vehicle coming at about 786 kilometers per hour. So I'm just going to have to move. It's not a game drive vehicle, I don't think. Alright, while we move, we're going to look around here and see if we can't find the others. Byron has got a herd of wildebeest he'd like to share with you.
And we have got this herd of wildebeest, James. Well done on finding Shungile. That's incredible. I'm very jealous. And you see, we thought they were around. We just couldn't find them. It's been a bit thick and difficult. But we've got this herd of wildebeest that have come out into the clearing. And I think they are most likely going to spend the evening out here. With all these little calves that need to be looked after. Aren't they wonderful? There's a guinea fowl alarm calling, but I don't see what it is alarm calling at. I think maybe it's just a little bit paranoid. Oh, I don't see anything. But this is really a wonderful, wonderful scene with these wildebeest. These calves are very, very cute with their bandy legs. They look quite awkward, don't they? But we saw them running around earlier, and trust me, they can move, even at this young age, very, very fast. They have to be, obviously, so they can stay away from predators or out of reach of predators. Oh, look at this. Can't see what that guinea fowl's alarm calling at. seem to be coming a little bit closer, so we'll keep our voices down a little bit. Maybe they come right past us. It's lovely to see herds of animals like this that are completely relaxed with us being around them. And this is wonderful. With these calves seeing that the adults are relaxed and not fazed by the vehicle, they in turn will become relaxed. And yeah, you can see the umbilical cord there. Still part of it hanging on. So, as I said, some of these are only a few days to a week or two old. Although some of them I've seen little hints of horns coming out. Look at this. This little one's coming right up to us. These two, it's the curiosity of youth. Isn't it fantastic? Look there, you can see the little horns. Just starting to poke out there. And again, that beautiful view. See, what I think's happened is they must have come down to drink very quickly, and I think they're heading back up to the large clearings outside of camp. I think they're most likely going to spend the evening out there for safety, get a little bit away from the water, and out into the big clearing. And look at that, they're all heading up there. Alright, and I beg your pardon, I thought it was Shungile that James found, but it sounds like it's Hosana. So let's head back and see what they are up to and if the others are around.
We have not found any further sign of the other two, and I'm talking quietly because he's very close, and he's just spotted the fact that I don't have a door, which I think he finds quite entertaining. Now, he is in no way, I don't think, about to pounce on me, but it is quite interesting that he's taken note of the fact that it is different this side from the other side, and I'm sitting about 10 meters from him, 30 feet or so, and he's just giving me a little bit of a look there, but he's much too full to do anything useful. I can't figure out where the others are, like I said, and I'm pretty sure that they must be south of the road, so to the left-hand side of where we first had him. There you can see the road in the very top of your picture. I think the other side of that. Wasn't it a perfect way to end our drive? Very special indeed, I must say. So with a little tail flicking there, it's because there's a piece of him that wants to come and sort of engage with us. He wants to play. He's still quite a playful young fellow. That unfortunately will end when he hits puberty. And I rather wish he wouldn't lie here, because although it was lovely for us to spot him, it was so easy for us to spot him. Imagine how easy it would be for something like a marauding hyena to spot him, or, I don't know, a lion coming through here. He seems to be a little bit far from the trees and from the safety of his mum. But I suppose he's relatively well experienced now. He's almost a year old. And thank you all for your screenshots. I hope you've got some there with the wild basil in amongst him, or him in amongst the wild basil. Do without the flies, I suppose. They don't really add much to the picture. I'll move slightly forward. We don't have a huge amount of time. Now, don't look up just because I move forward. You must look up all the time. Virginia, almost impossible to say, but always nice to ponder these things. You say, when he does go independent, how far from his natal area is he likely to go? Well, let's look at his brothers, Kunyuma and Quarantine. Kunyuma has gone all the way down south to sort of the river between Londolozi and Mala Mala. Now that is from here, about 8 kilometers or so, so about 5 miles. Oh, he's so comfortable now in the sand. 5 miles from here down to the south as the crow flies, which in the context of this area is quite a long way. But Quarantine has set himself up on Cheetah Plains, which is about, I suppose from where we're sitting right now, I suppose you could say about 3 miles or so. So, actually thinking about it like that, if we were to head due south, the same distance that we have to head east to Cheetah Plains, it's not actually that much further. But it does feel like Quarantine's set up rather closer to home because he's still in his father's territory than Kunyuma, who's moved a long way south. Tingana, for example, came all the way, so this chap's father came all the way from Lion Sands, which is way down the south of Sabi Sands, probably about 12 miles as the crow flies. So he dispersed a long way. I'm trying to think of another male that we know of. Mvula, I don't think came from any, I think he was born much closer by, actually. And any other males that I can think of? Shivambalane also, and it just depends on where the territory opens up. And I think Quarantine is still lurking around where he is on account of the fact that Mvula, his father, has kind of become non-territorial. And so that area is almost vacated completely. So we'll spend the last few minutes with this fellow and just wonder and see if his mother or sister doesn't sort of silhouette themselves up on one of those marula trees over there. But so far, not so much, and it's become so quiet and so lovely out here, and I can't believe no one's driven past this chap and seen him. Isn't it wonderful? I can hear some elephants trumpeting off to the south, but very far off. Oh, it's wonderful. See how close in on his eye you can get there, Craig? As he moves it, of course. I can actually hear him panting. It's so beautiful shot. So cool. How wonderful is that? What a very, very special way to end our afternoon. I can't believe it. Fat-bellied little fellow. All I can hear is in the background. I'll just tell you what I can hear. I can hear some of those rain locusts going. I can hear 1 or 2 francolins in the background, way in the background. All around I can hear cicada beetles. Bugs, sorry, not beetles. And then I can just hear him going. I think he sat up because I was imitating his breathing. Isn't it a wonderfully peaceful sort of scene? This is the changing of the guard. My second favourite time of the day. My first, of course, being dawn. His little eyes watching us. He'll wander off, I'm sure, sometime during the night. Oh, look at those teeth. He's very cute, but let us not forget the immensity of his incredible canines. Right, that's going to be it from us today. Thank you very much. A big warm goodbye from Byron. I'm going to say goodbye for him because we're going to sit the last few seconds with Hosana here. Thanks for coming on Drive with us. A big thank you to all of you for your questions and comments, to Kirsty in the final control, and Rebecca and Jerry and Louise, they're around there too. We'll see you tomorrow at 0400. Bye-bye. 500. Bye.